Romano speaks on Manchester United's long-term manager plans for the summer. It's become very clear we want an interim till the summer because there's a couple of names we want that are probably only available in the summer. These are names that potentially might have rejected Manchester United 2 years ago when we sat Ten Hag. In fact, two of them did. But maybe could be open to the job if things change in 2026. Jason Wilcox is under pressure. Could Jason Wilcox be sacked? But to be honest, I'm more concerned about Barada and Jim Ratcliffe than Jason Wilcox, although all of them, have done enough to go. Ugarte exit in 2026 basically looks like it will happen. The club have kind of decided, yeah, he's just not going to make it here. But could it be as soon as January? And who would come in to replace him in January with Ruben Neves being linked? Zirkzee still wants out despite amorim being sacked. Sesko is showing promise. We're going to talk about some interesting Sesko numbers. And Tuchel to Man United in the summer. He rejected us when we tried to get him because we wanted to sack Ten Hag for Tuchel. Then we kept Ten Hag because Tuchel rejected us. He had concerns around working with the board. Could Ineos change his mind? Let's get into it. So we'll start with some manager news, but I'll probably talk about this more tomorrow. In summer 2024, Ineos had Thomas Tuchel and Zirkzee on their shortlist. Neither rejected United outright. They just weren't convinced by the project. Things could be different now. United will take their time before deciding, but they intend to appoint a high-profile manager. So we were never outright rejected by Tuchel because we had a lot of talks with him, but he kind of was just not feeding the project, turned it down, wanted to go to England, wanted a bit of a break. It seems like that. De Zerbi saw Marseille as a better offer. I think as experienced managers with experience in the Premier League who can handle bigger names, they're good managers. There's definitely small areas of concerns with each manager. But I think every manager you bring in, there's a few areas where you're but obviously good managers there. And United could make an approach in 2026 in the summer. Things could be different now. The Zerbi's focused on Marseille. He's obviously focused on England with the World Cup Tuchel. But after that, in the summer, they could be tempted. But United are going to take their time before deciding who to appoint. I think United rushed the decision of amorim. There's a lot of leaks coming out that Dan Ashworth said no to amorim. Jason Wilcox said no to amorim. But Barada kept pushing it and Ratcliffe said, yep, let's do it. Ratcliffe probably got too involved considering he's not a footballing man. It seems that Ratcliffe pushed amorim and I think maybe they didn't do their research with amorim with his 3-4-3, how stubborn he is. The fact that he will need wing-backs and they didn't buy him wing-backs. The fact that he, I think they need to take their time this time and hopefully we appoint a good manager. But more importantly, I say more importantly, it's not really more important than appointing a good manager in the summer. But just as important, we must get a good interim in. Now, it looks like it could be Ollie or Carrick. I think Carrick might be a little bit better than Ollie, but Ollie has that little, I hate to say this word, aura about him. Do you know what I mean? The vibes. But I think as a coach, maybe Carrick is better and United do need a coach. Ideally, they work together if they come in. But could Wilcox go? This is what Alex Crook said. I do wonder how secure Jason Wilcox's position is. He's got to get this interim appointment right. If they appoint the wrong man and results don't improve, they miss out on European football. I don't think it'll be the interim manager whose head's on the chopping block this time around. Look, we're bringing in an interim manager. Some people in this fan base think because Amorim's been sacked and we're going back to a back four and we're bringing in an interim manager, we're instantly going to be miles better. That's not the case. I think we will improve. I think despite dropping points to Burnley, our Burnley performance was a lot better than some of the performances we've seen under Amorim, like West Ham, Everton, Wolves this season. There was improvements when you look at the chances created for Sesko, but the Burnley performance still wasn't good enough. There's a lot more that needs to happen than just change a manager and go to a back four. But there is an interim manager out there that probably would be capable of getting the best out of this United squad and potentially getting us maybe Champions League or at least Europa League football. But there's also probably an interim manager out there that's probably capable of getting us 14th. And there's a lot of pressure on Jason Wilcox to get the interim appointment right. What I will say is Jason Wilcox went to Amorim, asked him to change formation, which obviously isn't a good look when you appointed him and told him that he's going to play 3-4-3 and you're going to back him to play 3-4-3. You didn't ask him to play a back four. It's like being a vegan and ordering meat. You get meat, then you ask for tofu. It's like you ask for meat. Do you know what I mean? But I'm more concerned about Barada and Ratcliffe. Dan Ashworth's the guy that they should have kept. They ignored him, they sacked him. But Barada and Ratcliffe led the attack on Dan Ashworth. But Ratcliffe is getting too involved. Ratcliffe should be leaving this to Ashworth. He didn't agree with Ashworth, either to Barada, Barada's the guy that does the financial stuff, the CEO stuff. Ratcliffe is just the owner. He shouldn't be as involved as he is. It should be Jason Wilcox and Dan Ashworth doing the footballing decisions because they're the footballing guys, particularly Dan Ashworth. You got rid of him. Jason Wilcox is not a sporting director. He's better as a technical director. Yeah? I'm more concerned, maybe it's an unpopular opinion, about Ratcliffe and Barada than I am Wilcox. I think Wilcox is in a role that might be a bit advanced for him, sporting director at Man United, when he was sporting director at Southampton, you could argue, and he was a coach at Manchester City. I think Dan Ashworth probably shouldn't have been sacked. And I think Wilcox could go. I think Ineos need to go. I think, their Glazers need to go, more importantly. But it's Ratcliffe and Barada I'm most concerned about than Wilcox. Let's talk about player outs. Long-term, Ugarte is not seen as having a future at United. This was also said by Alex Crook, by the way, who was on TalkSport. He said a few things in regards to Tuchel, manager plans, Wilcox and more. He said, at any exit this window is uncertain due to United being short-handed, the players at AFCON, of course. He said if a move happens, it would be late in the window because of the players at AFCON. But a departure of Ugarte means United could bring in a midfielder on loan. Ruben Neves has been mentioned as a possible short-term option and viewed as an upgrade. I think midfield moves is one to watch at the end of the window. I just can't believe that Ineos would sit here, watch the whole window go by and not sign a midfielder. We needed a midfielder when Amorim was here. We needed a midfielder in the summer. I said for months and months and months we needed a midfielder. I said last year we needed a midfielder. Ruben Amorim needed a midfielder. The next manager coming in is going to play with 3 midfielders and not 2 midfielders. So the next manager coming in needs a midfielder more than Ruben Amorim. It doesn't matter who the interim manager is. It doesn't matter if Amorim was here or not. We still needed a midfielder. And we won't get one. And I just can't believe that Ineos will sit here in January and not get a midfielder. Because the next manager is going to need a midfielder. And I just think bring one in for the interim. It doesn't matter who they are. We need a midfielder. Ineos saying they're trying to build something, a team that any sort of coach can come in and work with. Okay, fine, then get a midfielder. If you want to do this head coach approach, we don't need a permanent manager in to buy a midfielder. So go buy a midfielder. I mean, I'd be shocked if United really, I wouldn't be shocked, it's Man United, really that whole window go by and don't push for a midfielder. Ugarte is done and finished at United, I think. Unless he goes on this miraculous run from now until the end of the season, I just don't think he looks the level. But I think he's been better the last 2 games. I think he's been better Casemiro the last few games, but I don't think he's good enough. But I'd be shocked if they let him go in January, especially now we're going to play midfield 3. I guess Mount goes into that midfield 3. I actually quite liked Mount playing a bit deeper. I thought he was mobile. I guess, Mount counts as a midfield option now, deeper. But I think playing in midfield 3, I'd be surprised if we let Ugarte go. I think we'd only let Ugarte go if we had someone lined up that we thought was better, like João Gomez. Zirkzee still wants to leave United. Even if Solskjaer were to return, he believes he won't get enough minutes to prove himself. Roma have offered a 4-year contract worth $3 million a year plus bonuses, and Roma are waiting for Mbeumo and Ama to return before movement. There's a feeling when the players are back from AFCON, we'll let Zirkzee go. Considering Sesko still seems to be starting, we'll have to see what happens with the interim. But I do think it's a difficult one because I don't see Cunha as a left winger. I see Cunha and Sesko as the striker options under interim, and Mbeumo and Ahmad as the wing options. But then we don't have anyone else to go on the wing other than Dorgu. So then maybe you want Zirkzee as another striker option, so you could put Cunha on the left. I don't know what we're going to do with Zirkzee. I don't know what we're going to do. But Roma are there. I think it will depend on what Roma offer us. I think if Roma are doing a loan with an option to buy, United are like, well, there's no point, because we're not even guaranteed he goes and we get money for him. But I think if Roma gave us a guaranteed, we're going to give you 30, 40 million for Zirkzee, I think we might let him go and take that risk. I wanted to talk about the improvements in Sesko. A lot of people were writing Sesko for half-time, and it wasn't the best first half from Benjamin Sesko. Do I think Gary Neville was harsh on him throughout the commentary? Yes. Every time Sesko gave the ball away, Gary Neville had to make a comment, but he didn't do it with other players, and that annoyed me a bit. I think they go for Sesko a bit more. I mean, Tim Sherwood was completely out of order, and instead of admitting he was wrong, Tim Sherwood doubled down on a terrific take at full time. But, Sesko's raw, he's hit and miss, he's inconsistent. But this was the first match in a while I think we created really good chances for him. I think he's had a few chances the last few matches, and maybe 1 or 2 we could have put away. But I think we're starting to see potential with Sesko. And Adam said this, turns out Sesko's pretty good when you're given chances in front of goal, it turns out. When you platform a talent that it can be maximised, it will thrive. A great athlete with smart movement, aerially dominant, and now finishing confidence. He actually compared Sesko this season to Højlund last season. Am I fully convinced with Sesko? No. Do I think Sesko is guaranteed? Am I fully convinced with Sesko? No. Do I think Sesko can be good enough for United in the future? Yes. Do I see potential in Sesko? Yes. He's been inconsistent, he's raw, but Sesko's a young guy thrown into an unstable environment in a new league, a new language, a new culture. It was going to take time. His movement is better than Højlund's. I think if Højlund was here this season, I know he's doing well at Napoli, but he wouldn't have been any better than Sesko. Højlund really struggled last season, particularly when Ruben Amorim came in. Højlund got worse. And And I look at it, and Sesko so far this season has done more than Højlund last season. But because Højlund's doing well in Italy, there's some Man United fans that think if we kept Højlund and didn't sign Sesko, Højlund would be doing that at Man United. He probably wouldn't. You know, if Sesko was at Napoli and Højlund was at Man United, I'm sure Sesko would be doing amazing at Napoli. I think with Sesko, I see the potential. He's raw. He's not perfect. He's going to have bad games. He's going to have good games. But compared to Delap and Gyökeres, you know, I'm filming this at half-time in the Arsenal game, so no one might like, by the time this video is out, Gyökeres scores a hat-trick or something. But compared to Delap and Gyökeres, I'm pretty happy with Sesko, and I see promise. I think people are overcritical on Sesko. I think he's been frustrating at times. I don't think he's perfect, but I think people are a little bit maybe overcritical on Sesko. Like, I definitely see the potential. I definitely think he's an upgrade on Rasmus. I want to see more from Sesko, but the goals and the confidence those goals should give him, maybe he kicks on, and potentially under a new manager where we create more, maybe he does better. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. Bye.